Hey guys, this is Grandmaster Jerry Sassy Fontanez again here for MMA Power Talk at the Dojine, sponsored by you, man. So a few days ago, we had a conversation with a gentleman who is a very dear friend of mine. He's a Jedi. But to be honest with you, the guy is so multifaceted, and I'm lucky and we're happy to say that we get an opportunity again to visit with him. So this is part 2. There's so much content that even if we had 10 parts, we wouldn't even touch the tip of the iceberg. So without further ado, going again, this time he's in California, has been there for a while, but we can get some more specifics and things that he's done, non-martial arts, but all artistic. Without further ado, here we got the legend, the Jedi, Kevin Brewerton. Are you there, sir?
Thank you, sir. I'm here. Thank you, Fast Feet Fontanez, Jerry.
Oh, man. Hey, listen, I want to thank you. I know you got that crazy schedule, and I appreciate you being able to even listen to the Power Talk that we did, because I know that sometimes, life gets in the way. We can't do things that we want. But
yeah.
From a scale from 0 to 10, and I'm being a little biased, how did you like it? That's a loaded question there, right?
That's a loaded question. I got to tell you, I thought it was a 10. So what am I going to say? Yeah, it's a 10.
Yeah, but knowing you wanted to do a 10.5 because you know it's better your best. Because I think the phone call, your exact words was, "Hey man, I think we could do it better." I'm like, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. You know what? This is this thing that we have, right, as fighters, because we always want to go to the next level. We always want to go further and make it better. Is it ever perfect? No, I don't know if it ever is, but that's a great.
Well, that's really what it comes down to. But the work ethic is really the key. The work ethic is the key. I would assume that what separated you from most was exactly that. Not just the desire, because the desire is just one stage of it, but you still got to take action on the desire. Because you could be desirable or have desire sitting on the sofa having some popcorn while watching videotapes of other people doing stuff.
Yeah, that's right. I agree. It's all about, you have the desire, but you got to have the self-discipline to put yourself through the paces, and then you get the rewards. There's no other way. That's it.
Wow. But let me just start asking some questions because, I was, okay. And again, like we briefly spoke about, here we go, and we met each other somewhere either 83, 84 in Brooklyn, and then before you know it, I'm reading about you fighting, over in Budapest and winning the world championship with 20,000 people, and then you're coming back, and I'm seeing you, fighting in Bermuda around 86, and then we fight, I believe, in 87 in Empire State, and then 87 you're back in Bermuda, and then before you know it, pretty much you was gone. You in terms of being completely active as a competitor, and I'm sure a large part of that was the fact that maybe what happened with you is what happened with me and a whole bunch of other people, where we thought that if we gave 1,000% to the sport, this great sport of ours, it would probably grow with us and be able to be monetarily satisfying, to be able to take care of our family, and so on and so forth. So I would assume that's a part of it. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think for me that, I won my last world championship I won was in 89, and then I continued fighting into the early 90s, and then I said that it's, I felt fulfilled, and I wanted to leave the sport with on the high note, with all the passion that I started with. So I could take that energy and take it into whatever else I do, whether it's, it turned out to be acting, and it turned out to be painting, and it turned out to be these other things. But whatever I transitioned into, I wanted to take it in the same champion force. And it's not like I wouldn't continue, because I'm always a martial artist, and I'm always consider, actually I sometimes consider whether I'll come back and fight again. And I feel like I could do that next week if I wanted to. But so it's always good to have that feeling that it's always there at your fingertips. But to put that energy into a new direction, and it kind of comes full circle. So you just keep feeding yourself, and that was my reason for when I decided that I would transition from fighting and then go into other things and stop fighting.
Well, one of the things that I would love to talk about and we briefly talked about it, was the actual book. Because most people say they want to write a book. Some people start writing a book, but to actually get it not just written but published both in the United States and abroad, or vice versa, that's pretty interesting. Let's talk about that a little, because I thought that was something incredible.
Yeah, I mean, the book was great. It was a great gift for me as well, because as I was, a lot of fighters, we do things instinctively, and, we don't always analyze what we're doing. I mean, we do. We analyze it to a degree, but, like, there's a lot of things that get overlooked. So when you sit down and when you have to teach it to someone else, then you realize exactly what you are doing. You see it from a different perspective. So writing the book was also allowing me to get a look inside my own head and find out what I'm doing instinctively that I just naturally do without thinking about it. So it was a really fantastic way to enhance what I'm doing, and also to give that back to other fighters and other athletes. So it was great.
Well, and again, that's the truth about it, because this the 3 hours is supposed to be to live, to love, and leave a legacy. So yeah. When you're leaving your information behind, you're leaving it to your martial arts family per se, so they don't have to reinvent the wheel, and they can stand on the shoulders of giants. Like whether it's Think and Grow Rich or The Warrior Within, it gives people shortcuts to be able to produce the results that might have taken a lifetime to accomplish. So we thank you for that, because that's a very important thing. But now, I remember this. It's funny, and I'm gonna backtrack a little bit just because, and I want to talk about our personal relationship, because even though throughout the years we haven't had a chance to see each other, we've never lost contact. We fought, I believe, 3 times, and each time was pretty legendary. I don't know if I have any. I don't have any of them on video, except for maybe Joey Joyce may have the one which was the last Tommy Mays tournament, which might have been like 91, 92 or something like that. But I'm not sure. But I mean, do you remember any of those fights at all? Because all I remember was you being relentless. I'm speaking, dude, man. He just doesn't stop.
Yeah.
just doesn't stop.
I mean, look, when I think of these fights, certain fights that you remember, and certain fights that I remember things visually sometimes, and then sometimes I remember them in my body. So I feel like there's a feeling about the fight, if that makes sense, that you kind of remember more than anything else. But so I just remember, like, fighting you was always, you're one of those guys where, there's certain fighters that when you fight them, you have to be alert. You cannot be asleep. You have to be 120%, or else you're going to get kicked all over the place. There's you, there's Alfie Lewis, there's a few other guys that are in this field. So you've just got to be sharp. You got to be alert. So I always had to have that when I fought you. Remember that. You're a tricky customer, because you've got all the fastest work.
Hey, listen. So it's interesting, because I looked at Lewis right when I first saw him, saying, "Man, he could be my brother." Like he kind of reminded me of me, but he was an older version of me, just slightly over. But and I know that he was throwing kicks and punches. I think he maybe blitzed a little more than me, but I think I kicked more than he, possibly. Yeah. But him and I almost fought in '93 at his last Walker World Championships. It didn't work out. I ended up taking third, man. But I wanted to sneak and fight with him so badly, because he was the guy who who was bringing it in the UK at the time. And I'm like, man, I'm gonna bring it from the freaking Bronx. Come on, let's do this thing, That's the fight that never happened that I wish I was able to watch.
Yeah, exactly. You get these like super matches in your head that you'd love to see. Just that's the best, when you get these fighters coming together.
What I'm doing right now, as I briefed you too, I believe that you, like you just said, you and Billy Blanks and a bunch of other people are still in the shape, if not better than when you competed, and you can still, if there was a platform for you to be able to play at, that was consistent with the standards that you was used to, that made some financial sense in a variety of ways. Because you and Toni Morrison were in your home, and we spoke about the Dream Team, and that's a long time ago, man.
Yeah, that's right, exactly. You know, and you're right. I mean, I think it's a mindset. You know, once you're a champion, you're always a champion, because the same mindset that you have carries you all the way through. It doesn't change. So that's why, you know, myself and these guys and yourself, we can fight at any time right now because of that, and bring these teams together because of that. Like, it doesn't stop. It doesn't matter. You know, time is an interesting thing. It's like something that happened 10 years ago feels like it could have happened 2 days ago, or 1 hour ago. It's, you know, the time doesn't exist. It's in your head. You know, that's how I look at it.
Kind of the notion that say, right? Time is tasteless, it's colorless, you can't even touch it, and there's a notion, so sometimes time stands still, and sometimes it flies. So it all depends. And the fact of the matter is that there's no such thing as time, as you say. But let's go back into what we consider time, when all of a sudden I'm looking at this freaking movie, right? Well, actually, you in California, we over in your house. Now, what? It wasn't London, right? I'm over. It's a blur to me. I know.
I was living in California then, but we were shooting in London at Pinewood Studios for talking about Fifth Element.
Huh. Cause I remember we went over. We were over at Leamington Spa for a while, and that's when Toni Morrison and I went over to your home.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
and then we actually watched that fight with you and Alfie Lewis, the super fight, and you with a few people. We couldn't watch them because the damn video was the different speed. You had the European version of it. We couldn't watch those fights.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
He was fighting this one guy. I forgot his name. I think it might have been Clifton Finley, and you were chasing him up the freaking to the bleachers. Oh my gosh!
There were some good times. We had some great times. You know. The fight game. There's nothing like the fight game. But this goes back to time. You see, when Einstein was saying the theory of relativity, he said that if you're with a beautiful woman, you have a conversation, 5 minutes goes over like 5 seconds. But if you put your hand on a hot fire, 2 seconds feels like an hour, something like that. But our theory of relativity is if you're getting your ass kicked, it feels like a few days. But if you're winning the fight, it goes over fast, right? All relative.
All right, so let's talk about the Fifth Element. But I used to move to California and start pursuing some acting, and I was like, wow, that'd be freaking cool. But and then I look at you in this movie with Bruce Willis, and you're there as a pilot. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, you know, acting is something I always wanted to do. It was something I was kind of doing when I was fighting in different ways. I was kind of like gearing myself toward that. And being in California is a, you know, it's a good place to be because there's a lot of artists and there's a lot of actors here. So the environment, I mean, you could do it anywhere in the world, of course, but L.A. was great. So, you know, doing that movie was great because that was like the second film I did. And it was just great being around those guys. Bruce Willis was terrific. Gary Oldman, and these guys were just Chris Tucker. They were all fantastic. It was just, the set was crazy and fun. It was one of these sets that everyone was just, there was a party. Everyone was working and very professional, but it was a party. Everyone was having a great time, dressed up in weird costumes and having a good time.
That Chris Tucker was off the freaking hook in that movie. That was one of my favorite movies because it was interesting because what was missing in the entire world was that connection between man and woman. You know, it was kind of a movie in the middle of some comedy and some freaking, you know, Star Wars type stuff.
Yeah, that's right, exactly. And it's a cult movie. You know, it's one of these movies that 20 years have been shown it over and over and over and over again. Well, probably about 18 years. It's been 18. I think it came out in 97. So about 17 years, I've just been throwing that movie. Yeah, and it's a cult figure. I mean, I was at a cinema once. I was at a movie once, watching a movie, and someone came up. I mean, people, let's just say this. People come up to me all the time. Say, were you in The Fifth Element? It's great. It's fun. It's a lot of fun.
That's funny. So what was it? Okay, let's talk about your film. What was the first film that you were in? You know, some of the TV stuff. And I know we saw you on, I think it was Housewives of Beverly Hills or one of those things. With I think it's the lady that owns the basketball teams. Well, but let's do some chronological. Right. So before The Fifth Element, what was the deal, and then so on and so forth.
Well, before The Fifth Element, I mean, after Fifth Element, I did a few other movies, and then I was, I started to study acting with a man called Milton Casellas in Los Angeles. And he was pretty amazing, and he was like, when you work with this guy, it was like working with one of the greatest martial arts coaches you've ever had. And then I realized that there's not much difference between acting and martial arts, and especially theater, because you're in there's a live audience. You're working with other actors, and you can't do, let's do another take. It's all in the moment. You can't mess up. You got to be on it. You got to be in it. You're fighting in the moment or acting in the moment. And this guy, Casellas, was like tough but great, and he taught me so much. So I came to LA to learn a lot about acting, you know, and try to do movies. But what he brought out of me, what he taught me, was how to be an artist, you know, and how to do that through the eyes of a martial artist, because that was my way. That was my way into it. And I kind of learned how to do, you know, all the things I learned about martial arts that were helping me as a fighter it's different in acting. You know, as an actor, you want to be vulnerable, because the audience needs to see someone who can be vulnerable so they can relate to that person. As a fighter, you don't want to be vulnerable. That's the last thing. You want to be like a fortress. Nothing touches you. So they're two opposite ends. So the first thing I had to do was kind of learn how to juxtaposition that in a different way. And you start seeing how there's a strength in that, and how there's a strength in vulnerability. So when I started to get more and more involved in the techniques of acting and the conversation of art, you know, I kind of just saw how it took me into a deeper level of understanding of what I've been doing all these years as a martial artist and as a fighter, and how the expression of the human being, and that's really what it is. Because really, if you look at martial arts, it's an art, martial art. And then you've got performance art, and you've got fine art. They're all arts, and they're all ways of expressing yourself. The martial arts being through the human body, the mechanical body, working spiritually through that, and that's what all art is. So when I got the opportunity to, you know, being a martial artist helps me as an actor, and it helps me as a painter. Helps me in any of the aspects of the art, because of the discipline that martial arts brings to it. And not only the discipline, but the awareness and the passion. I mean, I don't paint any differently than I fight. You do the same thing in one thing as you do in the other.
When did you start painting? I think right now it seems like in recent years that's been like a major thing. I mean, I was shocked. I went on not that I'm surprised, because Musashi Miyamoto taught us that if you're a samurai, meaning a modern-day warrior, the Book of Void and water and so on and so forth, you know, we're supposed to be able to do all those things. You're a black belt. You're supposed to be able to do anything that you want.
Yeah.
But let's get a little more specific. When did you start picking up the brush? And, you know, I'm sure it's a nice story here.
Yeah. You know, I started painting it was actually 10 years ago. 10 years ago I started painting. And first of all, I just decided I wanted to just start painting. And the Milton Casellas, I was telling you about, he was a director and a teacher, but he was also a fine artist. He was a painter himself. So he'd always be cross-referencing painting and artwork and taking us in that direction, taking me in that direction to see how everything connects. So I think, in a way, he opened the door for me in a lot of ways. But I think it was always there. It was always there because I was doing it as a fighter in different ways. It's the same expression in the same way that I was approaching my career as a fighter. So, but again, doing it in a different way. So I think it was about 10 years ago, and I started painting for about 3 years straight, doing abstract painting, just expressing myself. I'm not caring about what it looked like, and I didn't paint for anyone. I painted for myself. I just did it. And after 3 years, I just decided, I said, hey, look, I think I can show my art now. I could start letting people take a look at it, and I could start doing shows, and I could start putting it out there. So I did that, and then it was insane. It just took off. And people start responding to the art, and people start purchasing the art, and, there's collectors around in different places around the globe that have my art, which is great. That's what you want as a painter. It's the same thing as I want as a painter as I want as a fighter. We talk about legacy, that you continue and that you will go beyond transcend time. And my hope is that maybe one day, way in the future, they'll be still talking about you, myself, all these other great fighters that we know, and then that will be there. And the same with painting. Like I think like this. I've created a painting, and I hang it in someone's house or some office or wherever it is. And every day I affect that person. I'm affecting someone every day because they walk into a room and that painting's there. And somehow people connect with it, consciously or unconsciously. So somehow I'm affecting someone every day in different places in the world, every day. And that painting will transcend time. Will be there when I'm gone physically. So that's
you know something that is so beautiful and it's so freaking true, because you interconnect with somebody even though you're not physically there. Your energy is there because your energy is still in that painting right now. Yeah. It was created by your energy, and it's energizing other people. And I did the same thing with Rexus, believe it or not. People walk around all over the world with my little logo on them, and I'm like, yeah, baby. That's my canvas.
That's great, man. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, we're all artists, that's all of us, and we just do it in different ways, I mean, I wouldn't want anyone to think I'm better than anyone else, because we are all artists. Like you just said, that's your canvas, we all have a canvas, So
it's pretty incredible. Hey, and let's just backtrack for a second. If you had to mention just 5 people you competed against from the top of your head, no specific order, just people that just pop up that you competed against, who would you say?
And why am I mentioning? For any particular reason?
If there was 5 people that you can just mention really quick from the top of your head that you competed against, no specific order, who those 5 people would be?
All right, let's start with you, okay? 5. Again, I mentioned it earlier. We talked about it because we talked about the energy and you're tricky and you got everything coming at different angles. So beautiful, love that. So we'll talk about that. Number 2, let's talk about Alfie Lewis, of course. Alfie and I had an amazing fight off over the years, rivalry, I should say. And let's see who else. Let's say Billy Blanks. Let's say Billy Strong, super athlete, natural athlete, powerful fighter. Let's say Tony Sewell, big guy, strong, solid, fights well.
I think he was the one you was chasing up on the bleachers. That's right.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, man. And then you had all these other guys that were characters, man, like the freaking Overdog and freaking, all those nicknames were awesome, man. I love that.
Oh, man. Listen, Martial Arts Illustrated, Bob Sachs, you've got to give him his credit again because of what he created with Martial Arts Illustrated, with the Clash of the Titans, because that is where every fighter, we were hungry for that. We needed that platform. And he provided that full on. And just to be able to go and, as a spectator.
I mean, a young Pele Reed. Give shout outs to all those guys, man, because there were so many guys. I looked at those magazines, and I saw them in your house and a few other places, and I was like, oh, my, I would have just loved to have been there. But to compete at it, imagine that. Holy smokes. And my crazy mind, since these people, most of them are still alive, that means that maybe something could still be done. See, as you know, I've always kept that passion and desire to take things to the next level because I spoke to a boy, and I shouldn't say boy, a young man who's 22 years old, named Justin Ortiz. He finished the #1 overall NASCAR last year. And this kid is one of my fans. His father knows me. But the point is still that I had a great power talk with him because this is going across, whether it's Milano Casco or Justin Ortiz, Kevin Brewerton, or Christine Rodriguez. I'm not holding anybody back. And I will be getting the Jerry Trimbles and all those guys, too, because, they're part of the history, whether it's point karate or as we call it, full contact kickboxing today. But, I mean, when I saw all those nicknames, Megatron and mention some of those guys, right? Because if you mention them, maybe I'll get a chance to interview them too. I'm forgetting a lot of them now.
Oh yeah. Listen, I'm gonna go through a few of them right now because these guys are like, the salt and earth of the fight game. Alvin Mighty, first of all, great fighter. You remember Al? Peter Edwards. We talk about Peter Edwards, who was an awesome fighter. Mark Aston. And a lot of people may not remember Mark Aston, but he was on the circuit. He was unbelievable. Super great legs, actually. You would like this guy. The Overdog you mentioned, Vito Parra. Megatron. Who else are we talking about? We're talking about Curtis Page, who is out there. We're going back to the old names now. Curtis Page. Of course.
Wait, hold on. Let's pause there for a second. His son is my third favorite MMA fighter right now. Michael Venom Page.
No way. Seriously? That's great. Fantastic.
Have you seen him fight?
That's great. I love it.
Michael Page is his son. Michael Venom Page is not good. He is incredible. He's blitzing people, knocking them out. His record is 8-0. The last knockout he had was in Bellator, which is the #2 organization in the world when it comes to MMA, and he's humiliating people, hook kicks, axe kicks, you name it. Plus, he has 2 submissions, arm bar and a rear naked choke. He's representing for the sport karate world, even though it's more like what Raymond Daniels does in terms of modern-day version, but he still has it with the vigor. The kid is freaking incredible, only has 8 fights, and they already comparing him to the greatest of the great. That's his son. Yep.
He's got good genetics. He's got it in his blood. Great. Congrats to Curtis Page and his son. Fantastic.
Hey, how about those teams? There used to be this team versus that team. I remember I used to go from the Taekwondo team to the, and just so you know, guys, the majority of the Kung Fu fighters here in the United States never had the same win ratio as they were in England, because Kung Fu guys over here were pretty much just doing forms. So just a handful of them that really competed and did that. So you guys were the opposite of that, which I thought was like incredible too,
Yeah, that's right. I mean, that's a whole different. Talking about, the Laugor A team. I mean, that was a historic team, man. It was historic. And when I joined the team, and the years that we were all fighting in it together, I think we reached a peak. And it was some of the fights and some of the wins that we had were just astonishing. I mean, it was literally historic. And it was great. I mean, Neville Ray was a captain. He was an awesome captain. He was solid, keeping everyone together. And we were tight. We were all tight. We all relied on each other. We all worked together. We all pushed each other. We all supported each other. And just we went out there one at a time, tight. I usually go out number one fighter, start the ball rolling, just get the momentum up, and then the rest of the guys just come out after me, follow them, bam, 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 bam. And I remember one time we at the first FSK we had the last fight, and it went to sudden death because we were tied. So I think I had to come out and fight one of Taekwondo, Tony Sewell. That was actually the first time I fought Tony Sewell. So Tony Sewell came out, and we fought as a tiebreaker to see who would win. And fortunately, it went our way. But it was a hell of a night. It was an amazing event. And I remember watching Tony Sewell fight about 4 or 5 months earlier. He was fighting Nasty Anderson in an event that was happening in the UK. And Jeff Smith.
Oh my God! What I would have given to watch that! My gosh.
Yeah, it was an amazing fight. I fought that night. Neville Ray. We had the Laogar team, the U.S. team with Jeff Smith. We had the Taekwondo team, and then I can't remember the other team, but we had 1 or 2 other teams. We had the Wuko. We had the Wuko at the time. It was Wuko at the time with the top Wuko fighters. Oh man, that's right. So, it was the best of each group, and I'm happy to say again that the Laogar team took it that night. But there was a fight with Nasty and Tony Sewell, and it was pretty epic. And I think Sewell took it. And I remember saying to myself, okay, if I fight Sewell one day, how will I fight him? And I remember watching that fight and working out my strategy. I was pre-planned. If I ever fight this guy, look at these guys. Okay, how would I beat him? How would I fight him? So I worked out my strategy watching him fight Nasty. And then it turned out that I was fighting Sewell about 4 or 5 months later, and which is pretty ironic. So, and historic. Anyway, but they were great. But talking about the forms and the martial artists, I just want to give a shout out to there's 2 guys who I really respect as martial artists, and these guys put so much passion, and they give back so much to the martial arts, and they're always searching for improvement. Is James Valentino Santi, who's a traditional Chinese martial artist, and he's over here in California, and Bob Firmer in the UK, who is again Chinese soft style martial artist, and these guys just go at it all the time, and I just love what they're doing with the traditional side. It's fantastic.
It's funny to call it soft style. When I tell people, are you kidding me? These guys climb trees and they freaking do the 1 finger push-ups, and the training that my first style was long Kung Fu, and just sitting there in a freaking horse stance for a half hour, the yin yang and the freaking blocks. It's funny they call it soft because it flows, but my God, to pop a freaking walnut with your fingers, to put your fingers inside of a watermelon. This is the crazy stuff these guys are doing, man. What the heck?
Yeah, it's true. It's true. It is true. It's true. It's like on another level. It's fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's only the Chinese arts that really go to that level on a consistent basis. All of them.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's right.
You cannot be in shape and not. If you want to compete, I've competed quite often, not in the best of shape.
Right.
And because the level of competition, even though it was at a national level, so to speak, I can still beat people because of techniques and what have you.
Right.
You can't make believe you're doing the form. I'll get a heart attack, man. Doing silver forms and those stances.
I love it.
Can't fake that.
It's true. The fighters get all the limelight, but those guys are doing things that are pretty terrific. And talking about traditional street style defense, self-defense, shout out to my boy Martin Wheeler too, who's doing Sistema, which is a Russian system of martial arts.
Yeah. They take those punches and kicks, and they just have to absorb those damn things.
That's right. Exactly.
That's crazy, but it makes sense. I mean, and again, it comes down to it that I don't care what form of martial art it is. See, the way I look at martial arts is that it's an oxymoron just from the jump street, because martial is military. Military is linear, strategy. Art is all over the place. So it's like military arts is what we're talking about here. And it's like kicking somebody's butt but looking good in the process. That's the way I defined it,
True. Exactly. I like it. I like your definition of martial art. That's great. Yeah, do it with style. Kick some butt with style.
Yeah, and that's what it comes down to it. But so now, how did you get, again, just so we can answer just a few specific questions, how did you get the gig, so to speak? And I'm not so I saw you, and again, guys, it's Sunday night. This is where Housewives was on, and I saw you a few times training that lady. I forget her name, but she's the owner of the basketball team, right?
Yeah, that's right, Adrian Malouf. Well, I trained her. She's a black belt, so we do martial arts, and I teach her privately, and that is how that came about. She happened to be filming at the time when we were doing a lot of training, so she asked, they wanted to shoot us for a few seconds, so I just gave them we let it happen, so that was really it. And but she's a serious martial artist. She trains. She's all about kickboxing and self-defense. We do grappling. We do all kinds of things. It's great. She's hardcore. She used to be a tennis player, so she's been an athlete since she was a kid. So she's got the right mindset. And then the martial arts for a good few years now, maybe 9 or 10 years now. So it's good. And
a shrewd businesswoman. We were successful. There's a whole family deal. She's the only woman that seems like it.
That's right. Exactly. So her mindset, she's got the right mindset. And we talk all the time about how she transitions, because the mindset of martial arts and the mindset of, being, a winning athlete, and how to transfer that into businesses. And she's always looking at that and going back and forth with them. That's how she lives in those two worlds, business and sport, martial arts. So.
Well, if you go to a bookstore today and you want to buy a book of 5 rings, you will find them in 2 divisions, 2 sections. You will be in the business section and in the martial arts section. The same thing with a book of 5 rings, the business section and the martial arts section.
Right. That's right.
So it's the same thing.
That's right. It's true. It all comes back around. Yeah.
It's so incredible, man. Let me just say this, that I appreciate all these years of you being such a friend, and it's pretty interesting. And I always got to give shout out to Facebook, because if it wasn't for Facebook, it'd be kind of difficult to communicate with all these people. Like, when you lose the numbers and so on and so forth, So it's freaking, it's awesome. Hey, are there any people that you may want to hear of in the Power Talk? Because I'll give you an example. I did John the Tiridad. John the Tiridad was Chuck Norris' #1 guy when it came to kicking. This guy was throwing multiple kicks in the early 70s and late 60s when no one else was doing it. He was on that team with Pat Johnson and the rest of these guys. So, and they did that documentary, The New Gladiators, that Elvis had put some money behind when the United States team went over to England and fought some of the traditional guys there in the early 70s with Benny Akitas, and they went to Belgium and they went to a few other countries. And this guy was on that team, along with a guy named Cecil Peoples too, and Benny Akitas, and I guess a bunch of other people. But what freaked me out was I'm speaking to the guy, and he said something about he always loved the kickers, and he mentioned Superfoot Wallace, and then he mentioned Fast Feet, and I was like, excuse me? He said, Fast Feet? Oh yeah, I've been reading about you for years. You've been holding it up for us kickers. I'm like, what? And I lost it there. I literally was like dumbfounded, and it takes quite a bit for that to happen for me. But
wow.
a lot of people really watched, had no idea.
Yeah, I totally agree, and it's so good to get that, because you're giving back, the way you give back. You're a very generous human being, but also in the martial arts. And I think that's what we're all hopefully doing, just giving back what we've learned, because that's a cycle we have to do. And but it's also good to hear it come back to us, because sometimes we don't know how we've affected someone. And you'll hear things, and someone might say something like you're describing. It's like, oh, you weren't even aware of how you impacted someone, and it's important. I think it's important to know. So, you're terrific when it comes to that. Even with this whole podcast, let's give it back in a huge way.
But it's something that I think I appreciate it. But it's something that it's like the right thing to do. Like, somebody has to freaking do it. And I'm trying to inspire those of you listening. Please pick up the board. As I said, I'll give you a list of people, because there's just too many people and too little time. There's pioneers and legends right now that may pass away without us saying thank you. And that's not right. I think that this is something that, like you mentioned, Billy Blanks, he taught me how to blitz. Nasty Anderson taught me how to do a dive bomb. Billy Blanks, when I fought against him, and he broke my jaw, which is the best thing that ever happened to me. I actually had a Billy Blanks patch on for his school. You understand?
Right.
That was just something that happened. It's just a game. It wasn't anything personal. I had him mouth bloody anyway. I was trying to embarrass him. What got in front of me, I was going to do what I had to do. But, let's talk about that a little bit, because when I fought against Billy Blanks the first time, him being my basically my idol during that time, it was one of the scariest freaking things, So I had to make sure I came at him, because otherwise I saw him do things that were just like out of the movies, man. I seen Billy Blanks shake somebody, grab the supportive leg, lift it, and the guy's upside down, and he punched him to the body.
Yeah.
That's like Bolo stuff in the movies, man. He was doing that live. I saw him jump over people and kick them on the other side of the head. Scissor takedown, people in the neck. Cartwheel kick, because all that stuff was coming from Kung Fu, because people forget that Billy Blanks was a Kung Fu starter also. That's where he came in with the cartwheel and stuff like that. But looking at Billy fighting against him, oh my freaking God. How was that in terms of intensity?
Yeah, it was intense. You just go. And I think once you get, for me, when you fight, I was like, you got to go in 110% at least, and then you find that you're in the fight, and you cannot be denied. And I think with that particular fight, I think that was what was happening. So I think once you have, it's all about fear. It's all about the fighter reading you, and if you let them get away with doing anything, if you teach the other fighter how they've got to respect you in the match. And I think I try to do that with every fight when I'm fighting. That's it. That's my approach. But Billy is intense. He's physical. He's strong. But at the end of the day, it's no different from when I'm either fighting you or fighting Alfie or fighting anyone else who's strong and aggressive, and they're coming at you to win, and they have the mindset of a winner, So they all blend into one another in a way, if that makes sense.
Hey, Alvin Mighty, freaking guy. Your guy come from the English team, and I think it might have been. I want to say Philadelphia. Either Philadelphia or Boston. But I would probably say Philadelphia. One of those two places. And I see this guy, and I believe he officially eliminated you in the damn division.
Yeah.
Billy Blanks is in the division. I'm in the freaking division, and I got you. I got freaking Almighty, and this guy's throwing the blitz, and he has. I always joke around with those Almighty or any little guy, because they got big heads. I got a little head. That's why I make fun of them, And I do that in front of them, and they laugh, and they say, "This freaking crazy guy." That's always been my whole thing. But
Alvin, yeah.
Do you remember that fight with him and I? Because I was scared, man.
Yeah. Alvin was. I don't remember the whole fight. I just know that I remember that you guys fought, but I can't remember it that well. But I just know that I know Alvin is a fighter, and I know that he's such a patient fighter. He's got patience, and he's a great counter puncher, and he's strong as well. So.
Well, what ended up happening was that in my fight against him, he got hurt. So the next day, you guys could fight teams.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. That sounds familiar.
He scared the crap out of me, and I went back. He came blitzing at me, and I hit him with a counter. I did an anchor punch on him, and of course you would know. Most of you don't know. An anchor punch is a technique while your body's going back, you're going forward, and Muhammad Ali was the one that invented that. He did it on a whole bunch of people, including Sonny Liston. So an anchor punch is when you're riding the tail end of the fist, and then that's when you throw your strike when the person's 100% committed and they just fall short.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely. But yeah, I remember you guys going at it. I can't remember the details.
Yeah, well, those are some of those guys. If you have videotapes out there, please share them. They're not your tapes. Any video that's out there from the 1960s, 70s, 80s, 90s, they belong to all of the universe of martial arts. Look into your look in the garages, look in the basement, look wherever you have them. Those things still might be able to be transferred to digital because that's part of our history that all of us would love to have. If I told you, hey, listen, I have the Bermuda tournaments, the eliminations, and I have about 5 hours of it.
Yeah.
That thing right there, it may mean that I may not sleep tonight. Because that's part of this history that I would love to see. The same way when we were in your house. Didn't we watch tape after tape after tape after tape?
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, we did. We were up like all night, right?
Yeah, because it's part of our history. And I think that enthusiasm, passion, and desire is what keeps me going because I completely, truly believe that the best is yet to come because since there's people already who there's still people around who remember those things, if we can get that documentation out, then the next generations will appreciate the fighters beforehand, and the fighters from beforehand, from yesteryear, can still teach people. Let's just finish off with this. How was that tour that you did in 2012? How much fun was that?
It was terrific. It's always good. It's always good to be back and just touring around and going back to the cities that I was fighting in. And it's always, you just feel the love, and it's great to give back, and it's great to be able to. It's just like a rebirth because everything is coming back around, but you're coming with a renewed and a deeper knowledge of teaching, and it's great to be able to give that. And everyone's enthusiastic, and everyone wants to learn. It's a great time right now for martial arts, for martial artists, and for what we're doing because we set a golden platform. They call it the golden era when we were all fighting around those times. And we set an amazing platform, and everything that's happening. We talked about the art last time, about what's happening now is a reaction to what happened earlier in the art world, and that's happening the same with us. So you've got all these fighters that are still, transitioning into this future, and there's so much history, and it's rich, and it's, I think it's going to feed the martial arts for years and years to come. It's great.
I suggest you go to YouTube and you put Michael, and his nickname is Venom Page. That freaking kid will make you so proud. And I'm sure he grew up watching you because he's a little kid. Now he's in his late 20s right now. Michael Venom Page is one of the top 3 of my favorite fighters because, but this was interesting. 2 of my top 3 favorite fighters happen to be from the other side of the lake. It's crazy because I love Conor. McGregor, and I love Michael Venom Page, and the other one happens to be a woman, which is freaking Ronda Rousey. And not because she's this hot-looking woman, because she is, but it's not that. The quality of an Olympic athlete is a whole other level, and she proves it every freaking time. My gosh.
Wow. Wow. Okay, awesome. I like it.
Hey, it's exciting times. So let me tell you what's going to happen too, guys. I'm going to announce this so you know. As part of the plan, like I'm doing a seminar over on the 13th of November in Miami, which is in a few weeks, and I'm fighting next week, just so I can give people for the next 2 or 3 years, I want to be competing, not to win, but to show them what could be done. Whether it's my 360 spinning hook, to show anything that I did in the past, I'm still going to do it. I don't care about fighting the young kids, even though I did at one point. I'm saying, you know what, because I still believe I can, my ego and my techniques, I believe I can still beat just about anybody if I'm in shape. But I want people to realize that they're not old. 50, 60 is young. You could be old at age 20 if you're fat and out of shape and miserable. So it has nothing to do with age at all. Malaya DeCastro, formerly DeCastro, but now, she is the same weight she was when she was 16 years old. Now, this is a senior citizen in her 70s, and she trains all of the freaking time. So I want people to see how it is that a 50-year young guy can move. It doesn't matter if I was a teenager in my 20s or 30s. I can do all that freaking stuff to this very day. But I predict that if I'm able to do that, it'll inspire other people to start training also, so they can get young again. In addition to that, I'm laying out a platform on a whole other level when it comes to competition. So I started the ball rolling years ago, and there's a few things that I've worked with some people, but when it's all said and done, my plans always seems to be a little bigger than most people. Like if I want to have a karate school and I want people to come, I think Manhattan and Midtown Manhattan was the place to be, to me. Not that the Bronx didn't have schools, and Brooklyn has schools everywhere. But what I envision in my mind now is a whole different monster, including those people who we fought against. To me, I call them snipers. I think I mentioned that to you before. The Jedi was a sniper fighter. He wasn't a point fighter because the sniper fighter was sharp, precise, and on point. Whereas point fighting is what these people do today, or sport karate, and some of those things are a little different. Hey, props out there to the next generation that was doing phenomenal, that came directly behind you. Matt Winsper is one of the best freaking fighters of all time, and he came as part of your team, Ricochet, too. Let's not forget that. We had all those juniors, man. There's so much information that we just forget. But when you brought those juniors over here to the United States and they kicked everybody's butt, Lee Irons tournament, the Twin Tower Classic. Now, that happened, right? When you had the equipment line, also called Ricochet. Man, this guy here did not just equipment and uniforms and books and acting and painting, expressing himself as being one of God's creation that's supposed to do exactly that, just share and be as honest as possible. There's nothing more honest than the person, our first interview, that thing was classic. I listened to it, and to be honest with you, maybe because I'm getting old, I almost cried. Because I can understand what it is when you are a human being, then you just want to do the right thing. We're just little kids that want to do good so daddy and mommy can notice. And then we're parents that just want the best for our children. That's all it is. Right. We just want to be happy. That's all it is. We do things, but those are things that we do. All we want to be is happy. And a lot of us have happiness and joy taken away from us with this thing called time. Because we have to go into the past in order to have a good experience. And I say, heck with that. That's bullocks. Let's have some fun and some happiness in the future, because we don't know if we were in the future in the past. So the past was the future, because they gave away more money then than now. So I guess that was the future, and then we're in the past. But let's go into the next stratosphere. And that's why you always hear me in the same mindset. I know that it's possible because we're here.
Amen. God bless you. God bless you. We are.
Hey, any other last words to them? Hey, how about the family? Say some words to your children. I have 5 of them, by the way. I got Gianna, who's 13 years old. I have Jerry Foster, who's the second, who's 32, and Jerry Fonson is the third, is 2 years old. Then I have Anthony, who's 8 years old, and then Vincent, who's 11 years old, and then Sophia. Oh, my God. I'm going to send you a video of Sophia hitting some pads about 2 years ago. She has the eye of a tiger. Oh, my God. This little girl, she's 6 now, but back then she was 4, and you would not believe that from the first punch, Mike Tyson would have dropped. You know?
I love it. Yeah, man.
And they don't even do martial arts. They do soccer, and they do horseback riding, and they don't do martial arts, but they'll get their black belts eventually, you know. I don't force that upon them, but I know they will get their black belts, you know.
That's it. That's how I feel, too. I got my shout-out to my son, Kobe, and my daughter, Cavalia, who's in London now, and she is at college. She just started college, so I just took her over there. She's getting all set. So life is good, man. I'm blessed. We are blessed to have to have these kids and to experience that. And a lot of our friends, I'm seeing my friends from back in the day were fighting, all the fighters, families, kids, and it's great, man. It's just awesome. And you talking about Michael Page, right?
Oh my God! Listen, I'm a fan and a half. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm a fan and a half. I love what he's doing. Oh, you gonna when you see it. And guys, listen. Without bragging, the fact of the matter is that the greatest strikers in the world came up in an era that was from the late 70s to the late 80s. Because by the time 90s came, we could beat everybody a lot easier. Because the 70s and the 80s was just a whole different world. I mean, you get knocked out by mistake, you know. They break your jaw by mistake, you know. They break your ribs. How many broken ribs I had, you know. Like, it's freaking crazy. And they took, and that's the thing, that if you don't have the sweep in there, and they allow 2 points for a kick, that doesn't make it fair for other people who knew how to sweep and punch.
Yeah, right.
It's a 2-point kick, and you can't sweep. Wait a second. But just last year, every technique was 1 point, including the cartwheel and the scissor takedowns and the sweeps. You know, so they made it into a taekwondo predominated sport, and that's not fair because there's so many other beautiful arts, and they alienated the people who used to be able to compete and win. So imagine that you played basketball and up until 1989, 1990 maybe, they said the ball has to go inside the hoop. You come in 1991 and say, no, just hit the rim and you still get 2 points. What are you talking about? That's not basketball. We would have lost the spectators and the competitors. And then you leave because you say, I'm not playing that sport. And then you come back and you want to compete. So you come back and they hit in they hit the backboard. 2 points. Yeah. And, oh, what are you doing? It was bad enough when you had to hit the backboard. I mean, the rim.
Yeah.
Today, a lot of times, all you got to do is throw the ball, let it hit the court, you know. And it's not their fault. The talent today is extraordinary. The leadership is weak. because what happened is that a lot of people who knew better got along with their life. So because of that, when it comes to competition martial arts, the kids don't know that it's on a dive bomb and they call it a blitz. They don't know. No one's ever taught them how to do it. So this is the opportunity for the elders in the village to come out. You know, if I say, hey, Mr. Brewerton, can you do me a favor? Will it be possible for you to put on video your 3 favorite techniques? And then we can add that to your page? You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
That's the type of stuff. So I can't go over all the explicit details, but trust me, finances is something that is a must just to take care of bills. There's nothing wrong with earning money. Making money is counterfeiting. You can't make money. You can only earn money. Countries make money. And how do you earn money? By providing a product or service that people can appreciate. So I've been fortunate enough throughout the years, and so have you, that we've been able to use the other side of the brain to be able to do some type of business. Because we don't want to be artists that earn money once we die. Because we need the money now to take care of our children in college and everything else, right? So right. So it's not you know, it's just the truth. And this is where people as artists get confused. Oh, no, I'm doing it because of the love of art. Yeah, the love of art is called what you're supposed to do. But who's your manager? Because someone has to take care of the business. And then you have to become your own manager. That's how I got to Manhattan School. I didn't have no rich daddy, no instructor, but that was my crazy butt saying, you know what? It's possible. Other people could do it. Why not me, damn it? Why can't I have my name in Lights on Broadway? I can have my name in Lights on Broadway. That song was written by George Benson. They say the neon lights are bright on Broadway. I was at George Benson's house. I didn't know he was from the Bronx. And I said, if he can sing the song and win multi-platinum records, albums, I can go to Broadway and put my name in Lights on Broadway. So when they got the neon sign on Broadway for the karate school, so my name was in Lights on Broadway. You can always win if you make the rules, right? You can always win as long as you make the rules. And what I'm saying is this. If I had you judge at a tournament, right, do I have to tell you the rules? It's basketball. The ball goes in the hoop. You get 2 points. What are you talking about? And then when they started changing all these rules on us, it made it seem like we were from a whole other era or from a different sport. But no, there's enough people that know different. There's enough people that know different. Because one of the biggest questions that people have asked is, what happened to the sport? And like in any endeavor, it's not the masses. It's upper management. Upper management got older, got tired. And then the other people left, whether it was to make movies or just family got in the way. So a whole bunch of people that didn't know any unconscious, incompetent people started being put in position of leadership. And there's enough people that know better today. So my goal is to motivate the educated and educate the motivated. And if we do that, the only problem we have is that we don't have big enough venues in order to be able to satisfy the people. And spectators were non-martial artists also, not just the people who are involved. So the martial arts enthusiasts today are multi-billionaires, multi-millionaires, international people. If we get our stuff together, they will gladly finance some of the things we're doing because these are the life-changing experiences. Where else can you have a 4-year-old and a 60-year-old do an activity? And compete? There's no other sport. It's not in baseball, not in basketball, not in boxing. There's no other sport that can have 3-4 generations of people. Next year when I compete at age 50, I'm the youngest in the division. What the heck is that about? Maybe other sports, maybe if boxing had age brackets, then there'd be more people involved too, you know? They do the white-collar boxing.
I think so.
Anyway.
I think there would be.
My point is that I know at times I sound crazy, guys, and it's because I am. I'm crazy that I'm alive. I can't believe. I'm ecstatic that God gives me another opportunity to see, to talk, to breathe, to interact and break bread and share information with your guys and then have friends like Kevin Brewerton. I still get a kick that you know who I am. You know what I'm saying? Like when I look at all your stuff, I'm damn, man, you know what? I know this dude, but man, I'm a fan. You know? But I know him too, and he actually knows me. You know, so I get a kick out of that whole thing. It's freaky to me because you know. But anyway, sir.
For sure.
Muchas gracias.
Yes,
thank you, man.
Hey, man, you're welcome. I just want to tell you that while we be talking, I just got a shout out on a message just came through from Marco Federesi in Italy.
Wow.
Saying, what's up?
See?
Yeah.
baby.
That crazy.
Man, I mean,
Marco's guys a shout out.
Listen, Michele has the freaking videos, man. We got to get those videos from Golden Dragon Cup.
Exactly. So, Sal Surian and Marco Federesi, those guys are awesome over there. They're running tight ship. I was just over there doing a seminar in Italy a few months ago.
They are no joke. They're no. I actually fought Michele or Michael in Bermuda in '88.
Oh, wow.
I had Mr. Bread, and Marcos, forget about it. Marcos was just, he was a star over there in the Golden Dragon Cup, man. He was awesome guy.
That's right.
Man, I'm telling you, these are extended family members. The last time I saw them, they actually brought a bunch of retirees over to the U.S. Open, and it was funny. I don't maybe 10 years ago, and I was actually in the U.S. Open, and I fought one of their guys in continuous contact. You know what? You know what's funny?
What's that?
Point karate was more difficult for me to do than continuous contact or full contact. Full contact was easier for me. It was a lot easier because most people didn't have angles, and I knew how to set them up and nonstop hit them. You know, point was hard, man, because you couldn't mess around and miss. That's why it was like sniper fighting to me. You know, you had to be sharpshooter because you had other people that were sharpshooters too, and they had all these multiple freaking weapons. They had short distance weapons, they had long distance weapons, they had weapons that were like freaking time bombs. You know, they would sweep you and freaking. It's such an intricate freaking form of pugilism that people just don't get it. They don't get it. How fast of a decision you have to make in order for you to not just score, but not be there afterwards when the guy tries to hit you after you scored.
Absolutely, absolutely. Hey, I've got to tell you this before I go. Marco Ferraresi just messaged. He just says, Jerry is crazy. Ha, 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 ha.
Yeah, of course, because they know that I always bring that passion. I mean, guys, I can't help it. It's not everything that I am passionate about. But martial arts is in my DNA. If you cut me and you cut Mr. Brewerton or anybody else, God forbid, you will see that in our DNA we have martial arts. And in martial arts, we're talking about a warrior that'll kick your butt in style, baby.
God bless you, Jerry. Hey, my brother.
All right, say God bless. Hey, in the famous words of some crazy Puerto Rican from the Bronx, Mr. Brewerton, I think you already know. When I say AB, you're going to say see ya. AB,
see ya.
We out of here. All right, sir. God bless. Hugs and kisses to the whole family, and congratulations on your daughter going to